Samantha, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy to be here. It's Friday. I'm excited. The weekend is right, here, and it's getting hot. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. For those of you that don't know me, work for Matsui International. Been with Matsui now for over 6 years. Been in the industry for over 20 years. Matsui International is a water-based manufacturer, and I'm here to support our new distributor, Reece, who's now selling our product. And this week has been an awesome week. I've been able to speak with many of you, and some of you have not joined us, but we started the week with an introduction to WaterBased. Then we touched on discharge inks and using discharge inks as an underbase for plastisol. And today's topic is going to be talking about basically the new water-based acrylics. There's a lot of question about, are they better? And we're gonna go through that today, and we're gonna hopefully convince and get you guys excited about maybe trying these new systems for your business. This whole week I've been emphasizing the importance of adding this system or this type of system to your business. I very clearly tell everybody that I'm not here to convince you to switch to WaterBased, but you definitely have to give it a try and add it to your offering, and it will help your business. I guarantee you it'll help your business if you offer WaterBased to your customers. So today we're going to talk about the difference between low solid acrylics and high solid acrylics, and we are going to touch on medium solid acrylics, but the main topic is low solid acrylics versus high solid acrylics. And then we'll go over and talk a little bit about what medium solid acrylics are. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. Since our time is limited, you're going to notice there's going to be a lot of just kind of straight to the point. I want to get as much information out there as possible. We'll have time to ask questions at the end of the webinar. And then also I'll have my information up there so you can contact me if you want to talk further about any more details or more technical questions about water-based inks. But we're going to start off with the question here. Just kind of want to get an idea of how many of you guys out there are currently using some type of water-based system or high solid acrylic ink system, whether it's low solid, traditional water-based, discharge. I mean, just if you can let me know what percentage of your business is currently using this type of system. So I'm going to start off with a little refresher from what we did at the beginning of the week, just kind of touching on what type of water-based systems are out there, in case any of you were not with us during this webinar. And just kind of want to go down the list right here so you're familiar with what type of water-based systems are available in the market. There's a water-based discharge, which we talked about this week. Traditional water-based is what everybody knows. It's been around for 30 years. It's actually been around longer than plastisol, and what everybody confuses with today's water-based acrylics, because this is a water-based inks that they do dry a little quickly in the screen. So let's not confuse those with what the next three, which are your low solid acrylics, medium solid acrylics, high solid acrylics, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Then there's water-based hybrid systems out there that use a blend of an acrylic and a polyurethane. The carrier is still water, but the resin is going to be the acrylic or polyurethane type. And then there is polyurethane inks out there available as well. And then we mentioned in water-based systems, we have all the special effects that you would normally find in plastisol. A couple of photos here with the question, why is there a demand for water-based ink systems? Very simple. The demand right now is people are asking, the most important one is going to be soft hand. Your customers are looking to improve the hand feel on their prints. So soft hand would be the key reason why somebody would request water-based or somebody would use water-based. But other than that, it has excellent matting properties. So when you go to print it, the fibers on the shirts, it's a lot better to mat them down so that the fibers mat down better because of the moisture in the ink. Water-based ink systems are light. They're breathable, especially like right now that everybody's printing on face masks. You want to, if you're going to put anything in that area where you're breathing, you want something that is breathable. And there's a lot of question right now in regards to, the health. If it's good for you, it's not. All I can say is, use a product that, if you're going to put anything around your face or sensitive skin or baby clothes, use something that has certification and has been tested for all the restricted substances. So moving on here, PVC free. There's a demand for PVC free. Certain brands, certain customers might come in and say, I want to use a PVC free product. That's my marketing strategy, and can you help? So WaterBased, even discharge is considered PVC free. Eco-friendly demands. Discharge is not eco-friendly, but acrylics are eco-friendly. Some acrylics, as long as they got the certification. So if you're working with major brands that are requiring you to be eco-friendly, very, very important to check with the manufacturers, make sure they have the correct certifications that make their products eco-friendly. Holds really excellent detail. Right now I'm wearing a shirt that was designed by a company in Denver Print House. We printed this 2 years ago in Long Beach. I'm wearing this shirt today. NFL had their draft yesterday, so I thought it'd be perfect timing, to wear something related to football. And, just want you to see the detail here that you can hold. So awesome for high details and CMYK. Matte finish, it's a low gloss ink system. So it's not going to be super glossy like some of your other ink systems. Special effects are available. Good ink yield. WaterBased has a lower viscosity, so you're able to work with higher mesh counts, which is really nice. Can dry at lower temperatures. WaterBased dries, not cures. So this helps us work at different temperature ranges as well. Excellent as an underbase. A lot of people for many years think that WaterBased was only for printing on white shirts and white 100% cotton shirts. That has changed. The technology is much different now. So you can actually print on dark color shirts and underbase as well. You can also use WaterBased as an underbase for plastisol. So there's another nice feature about using WaterBased, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, why you would do that. Excellent for cotton blends and polyester printing. My last couple of seminars I've been focusing on polyester because there's a lot of polyester printing, a lot of blends, but cotton fabrics are predominantly what WaterBased inks are work best with. So cotton blends, and now polyester. WaterBased is excellent for polyester printing. Can improve your operational cost as well. So as you can see, there's a lot of good benefits here in using WaterBased. Why is today's water-based ink systems better? Just the technology has changed. The raw materials are better, the resins are better, the formulations are designed so that the ink doesn't dry quickly in the screen. So it's designed to dry. WaterBased is going to dry. There's nothing you can do about it. But the manufacturers have done a better job of keeping it open in the screen longer. So that's what's improved with these water-based systems. There's additives available that you can use. You can print through high mesh, improved opacity. Water-based have been known to be very transparent. And the new systems now, especially on the high solid acrylic side, which we'll talk about later, they have much better opacity. It's probably the closest you'll get to plastisol ink systems. They do have Pantone mixing systems now to match, custom colors or make custom colors. There's excellent stretch properties in these inks as well. And the wash fastness and the rubbing fastness, which, certain brands require you to have a certain quality, has also improved, and in most cases even better than some of the other ink systems that are out there. So that has improved dramatically, and another reason why a lot of people have moved to water-based systems. And again, ability to dry at low temperatures. Polyesters tend to migrate at certain temperatures or sublimate, and water-based ink systems will allow you to dry the ink at a lower temperature without activating that migration or sublimation possibility of polyester fabrics. So now we're going to get into low solids versus high solids. And it's going to be a real simple explanation of what low solids are, what high solids are, how they work, what you can expect from them. And then I'll finish it off with touching on medium solid acrylics, additives, and some just general tools and tips for printing water-based. So low solid acrylics, okay, they work best with the 100% cotton natural fabrics. These are low resin acrylics, okay, and the reason why they're so user friendly, okay, the higher the resin content, the higher the solids, the higher the viscosity, and the more quickly the inks are going to dry. So low solid acrylics are low resin, low solids. They're more user friendly. So, and they're designed to be very soft. And here we call it ultra soft. Basically, it feels like it's part of the garment. So if you're looking for an ink system to go directly to the fabric and give you pretty much zero hand feel, a low solid acrylic is going to work best in this situation. They also have, they're very transparent, so you can't expect them to cover well. They're designed to dye the fabric. So white color cotton, light color fabrics, this is your best case scenario for these type of systems. Can you use them with dark color shirts? Absolutely. You're just gonna have to make a little bit more extra effort and probably add some opacity to the bases. All these systems will have a clear base, a matte base, and a white base. So you can use either the matte base or the white base in conjunction with the clear base to create a more opaque base so that you can print on darker fabrics. But you know, it takes a little bit more work, a little more extra effort. Mesh count limitations, I say the low solid acrylics, excuse me, are going to be more on the high mesh printing capabilities. So the higher the mesh count you can use with these, the softer it's going to be, the more detail you can hold, and you know, you're going to have better results. You're going to be more happy with your results. But again, very transparent. So you got to make adjustments if you need more opacity. Excellent to design fashion type designs or all over prints is another one. Printing over seams is good for low solid acrylics. Excellent wet on wet printing capabilities. So when you're going directly to fabric, you got 8 colors, you need to print them wet on wet. This system is awesome for printing wet on wet. Works really, really well. And open time in the screens. I can't emphasize it enough. This system has the best open time out of any of the water-based systems out there right now. So if you're looking for a user-friendly ink system or a water-based system just to start with and get familiar on, you know, how it works, these low solid acrylics are best and the ones I recommend. Here's an example on these photos here. You have low solid acrylics printed over a discharge underbase. So as you can see, as much as I say, you know, direct to fabric, light color shirts, you can print on dark color shirts. The reason these are so vibrant and they look good is the discharge underbase goes in there, removes the dye from the garment, and then is replaced with the colors that are put on top, which are low solid acrylics. But they were developed with a little bit more opacity, and that's why the color's a lot more vibrant. Now we're going to jump into the high solid acrylics. Okay, high solid acrylics are probably the term that is most popular in our industry. You know, these inks were designed for more challenging fabrics. For us, it was really the major brands that were going PVC free, and they were forcing us to come up with a product that would work on high stretch polyester fabrics. So high solids work excellent with more complicated type fabrics and also dark fabrics, dark and colored fabrics, because they have more opacity. So you're going to have opacity, you're going to have high stretch, excellent wash fastness, excellent rubbing fastness. Basically everything that you're seeing now with some of the current ink systems that you're probably using now. So, you know, this is a really nice, high quality product, but it is more challenging to work with. Because of the high solids, it will have a tendency of drying a lot quicker in the screen. So this is where you do have to use the additives. The additives are going to be key to helping you maintain this ink from drying in the screen. So very, very important. If you do get into high solids, you understand what tools are available out there to keep it from drying in the screens. The nice thing about acrylics is they're compatible with each other, okay? And one thing I like to throw out there is that the low solid acrylics can be mixed into the high solid acrylics to improve the performance. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But getting back to high solid acrylics here, the mesh counts, there is a limitation or recommendation in mesh that you should consider. I say try to stay between 110 to 200 mesh. If you go anything higher than 200 mesh, can you print it? Absolutely. Is it going to give you problems? It could. You know, these high solids do dry fast. And if you're not experienced, I would recommend stay within that 110 to 200 mesh range and then work your way up later on. And there's other things that we can do. It's going to be more technical, and you can always reach out and we can talk about how to make it work. It's still going to have a soft hand. Low solids have a tendency of going into the fabric. That's the reason why they get really soft. Where high solids, the reason they maintain their opacity, they tend to sit a little bit more on top of the fabric. So it'll have a little bit more of a hand feel. It's not, I don't say it's ultra soft, but it's still soft and softer than most of your ink systems that you're currently using now. Other than that, you know, it's pretty basic. Wet on wet printing, I don't recommend it. If you do have to do wet on wet printing, maybe 2 colors max, flash 2 colors. But high solids normally work best if you flash every color. So just something to consider there. We do have dye migration blockers in the high solid systems. You can also use them with the low solids if you need be. But these migration blockers are excellent for polyester printing. So here's an example of some high solid prints. There's no discharge underbase on here. This is a high solid white underbase and high solid colors on top. So just kind of wanted to give you an idea of a visual idea of how smooth the inks look, the surface of the inks are, and how bright those colors are. So medium solid acrylics, okay? We talked about low solids, we talked about high solids, okay? Medium solid acrylics really is a made up, I call it a hybrid system that we came out with because we got a lot of complaints about having to mix products. You know, everybody in the industry says, Jesse, don't you just have a product that can get right out of the bucket and just use it? You know, why do we have to mix so much? Another comment is, hey, I feel like a chemist. You know, I got to have a scale and I got to have all these components and mix them all together. For those of you that probably been around for a while now in screen printing, know that when plastisol first came into the market, that's the way you worked plastisol. There was bases, there was pigments, you had to weigh them out, there was additives. It wasn't a ready-for-use system. So to introduce these new water-based systems, it's pretty much the same strategy. They're being introduced, pigments, bases, additives, and will be followed with ready-for-use systems that are right around the corner. In some cases, they're already available. You know, Matsui offers now a ready-for-use discharge color mixing system and also a medium solid acrylic. So, you know, check with your distributors, and, you know, if you're looking for a ready-for-use system, they are out there. You just got to look for them. But getting back to medium solid acrylics, you know, what we've done here is we've just basically blended this low solid acrylic with the high solid acrylic 50-50 to create a multi-purpose product. So a medium solid acrylic, the best way to describe it, multi-purpose use. So if you're not too sure which direction you want to go, if you want to go low solid, high solids, you have the option of going medium solids, which kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Or if you like the idea of making your own ink, you can buy a low solid system, a high solid system, and blend it yourself in-house. Now you're creating your own bases, your own formulas that are basically proprietary to you. And you can come up with a really nice solution. So basically, again, same characteristics, good for printing on darks, all types of fabrics. Mesh counts, I would recommend stay around 160. You can go down as low as 110, but 160 to 305, but it'll be probably more friendlier in that 160 to 230 range, since it's more of a multi-purpose. Soft hand, you still maintain your soft hand. It's actually going to be a little bit softer than your high solids. Good open time in the screens, still have good stretch properties, still have good wash fastness and rubbing fastness. And again, you can use the migration blockers with this product. Just really quick, I threw a little part of our catalog in here just so you can see how we separate the different systems. Acrylic is going to be your low solid acrylics. Hybrid will be your medium solid acrylics, and then your high solid acrylics will be listed as high solid acrylics. And then your additives are there at the bottom, and then all your special effects are there in the middle. So if anybody needs a copy of this, just send us an email or reach out to your sales rep, and we'll get you a digital copy of this catalog as well, or color chart. And really quick, I kind of want to finish it up talking with just some general water-based tips that we've talked about all week, and just want to touch it again on them in case you weren't with us the last two seminars or webinars. Emulsion, very important. Water-based compatible emulsion, or an emulsion that's compatible with water-based inks. But now, the emulsion companies have a multi-purpose emulsion that will work with all your ink systems, so you don't have to worry about, using two different types of emulsions. Containers, keep them sealed at all times when not in use. Spray bottles around the machine to keep moisture, around the ink or over the ink. You spray it every once in a while it's flooded, not when it's open. Okay, you mist water and don't have to add a lot. Maybe just a couple of sprays, and while it's flooded, 2 or 3 times, and then let it run. Screens on press, try to maintain minimal airflow around the screens so that the ink doesn't dry. Print settings, we definitely want to keep a flood, and you want a double stroke. But when you're registering, it's important not to flood and keep the image area clean and open until you're ready to run production. Off contact, pretty normal minimum off contact, 3 to 4 millimeters off contact is what we recommend. Squeegees and pressure, soft to medium squeegees, whether they're single, double, or triple. I like the triple durometers. Pressure on your machines, if you have an automatic, 30 to 50 PSI. If you're a manual printer, you're going to love water-based ink because you don't have to put a lot of pressure down. The water-based inks shear really nicely. If you have good tension on your screens, good off contact, you should not have to put down a lot of pressure if you're a manual printer. Registration, again, just put a small amount of ink on there. If you don't want to put a lot and you're worried about it drying, print it, clean it. Okay, so that's why we say small amounts of ink. Mesh counts, anything between 110 to 305, depending on the system that you're working with. So I would say refer to your technical data sheets to get the best recommendation. Drying and curing, most of us in the water-based industry will say 320 for 3 minutes. That's without additives. A lot of people get concerned when we say 3 minutes, but that's just our insurance policy. Once you add the additives, you can get down to about 1.5 minutes. We say 90 seconds, 1.5 minutes, 320. But that temperature can fluctuate between 275 to 290 unless you're using a catalyst, which we do have catalysts for air dry. Design setup, that's pretty standard. Small print to large, or you can do it by colors as well, lighter to darker. Airflow, the airflow part here is the airflow in your dryer. There's a lot of conversations out there right now on the forums and in the groups. Airflow is very, very important for water-based. The airflow helps push the humidity out of the dryer, or takes the humidity out of the dryer, so the heat can do its job in evaporating that moisture in the ink to get it to fix onto the fabric. So airflow is very important. If you don't have good airflow, you just have to get creative in testing and find out what setting is the one that's going to work best for you. Okay, so airflow, highly recommended. If you don't have that option, Just get creative in how you can get that product or that ink to dry quicker in your drying system. Flash cure units, try to keep them low. We like to say low and slow, kind of like, when you barbecue, you want to keep that temperature low. And then the longer you keep in the flash, the better, because we're trying to evaporate moisture to get it to dry. But, there's other ways of getting it to dry, which is preheating your pallets. We highly recommend preheating your pallets so that you can keep those flash cure units temperatures low and quick, okay? Dryers, just make sure you check them. It should be a daily process, if not a weekly process, because dryers do malfunction. So it's very important to test your dryers. So we're going to go ahead and finish off here with additives. We have a lot of additives available in water-based printing. You don't need all of them. As a matter of fact, we've actually created a solution where we mix the 3 primary additives, actually 4 additives into one, and that's called quick additive. I want to go over each individual additive one by one, just so you understand what they do. So the fixers is a cross-linking agent that helps improve the wash fastness and the rubbing fastness in the inks, which is very important for some of the higher end brands that require certain qualities. But the ink itself without the fixer works excellent. So it'll pass the wash test that your normal retail business is going to require you to have. Retarders will help keep the open time, or the ink in the screen's open time longer, will improve it. So if you need to improve that open time in the screen because the ink is drying too quickly, this is where you would add a retarder. In most cases, it's 1 to 3%. Softeners penetrants will help the ink penetrate through the mesh. It would help also soften the ink up a little bit. But most importantly, it gives you nice, consistent coverage. Reducers are used for when the viscosity of the ink rises and it's too hard to work with or is drying too fast. Reducers can also help lower that viscosity, make the ink a little bit more user-friendly, especially when you're dealing with white, okay? White and blockers are probably the 2 products that you're going to have the most problem printing because they are high viscosity, high solids, and they do have a tendency of drying quicker. So these additives are going to be key for your success in printing those type of inks or those ink systems. Thickeners, not very commonly used unless you have lowered your viscosity because your color has required a heavy pigment load, or you're using a lot of additives that can reduce your viscosity. Reducing viscosity can also make the ink more transparent. So the way to correct it is by bringing that viscosity back up, and that's where you would use a thickener. Resin, we do have resin available for systems like in the low solids or in the discharge. We use these resins to improve the wash fastness. Because they have low resin content, the wash fastness is not as good as a high solid. So if they want to improve it, we do have the option of adding resin to the ink to improve the wash fastness or the rubbing fastness. But again, it's most of these additives, you got to be very careful. There's a recommended percentage, and I don't recommend going anything higher than that unless, we talk about it and we go ahead and tell you to do it. But you have to be very careful with the amount that you introduce into your inks. Dulling additives. This has been a very helpful additive for printing wet on wet. It takes the tackiness. If the ink has a tendency of getting tacky because of either the high solids or the resin that's being used and it gets a little tacky, the tackiness is there so that the wash fastness is excellent. The rubbing fastness is good, but mostly for the wash fastness. But if we want to reduce that tackiness, the dulling paste works really good for that. It also, if your ink systems are too glossy or too shiny still for you and you want to reduce that, the dulling additive will help with that as well.